And here we go, live on a Monday, the first of February. Got to shut the audio off.
I did.
Oh, you
I
did?
did.
Oh, you
Yeah.
did. Okay, so here we are live on a Monday, the first of February, 2021. The Joe and Joe Weather Show will be a little special show here early in the afternoon. Joe, it seems like there's some snow falling outside, and we're going to get to it because it's been pretty much a crazy morning. And the Joe and Joe Weather Show. Speaking of busy, brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware of West Babylon. Where, if I can just get my technical issues in order here. Yep, we can get them on the screen. OmniTrueValue.com in West Babylon, 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon. They have everything you need to get you through this winter storm for cleanup, rock salt, all the ice and snow melt, popular ice and snow melt products, including Petalo, which is considered one of the best. They are open tonight until 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. Then they're going to shut down for a few hours, and they will be back open again at 3 a.m. Tuesday morning. So you can bring your crews out there, load up on all the rock salt you need, load up on all the other items that you might need, whether you have a snow removal crew or you're just an individual homeowner. Omni True Value, 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, 631-756-1125. Website is omnitruevalue.com. So, and by the way, they are a local business, so you want to promote your local businesses. And let me find us again. There we go. I'm not used to doing this at 12:30, Joe.
Okay.
But
Oh,
I
well, you're
have to.
down there now.
What's that?
You're down there now.
Yeah, I can make a side by side if you like.
I don't care. We're as long as we're together.
Oh, and that is so sweet. So there you go. I just made us side by side. How's that?
Okay.
So there. So anyway, last night I actually have been up since 2 a.m. And I'll explain why a little bit later. But last night we had a very interesting. I was looking at all the guidance, and it was very telling as far as the guidance was concerned. I looked at Joe. You'd be proud of me. I looked at the Omega on several of the models, and brother was I impressed, because that Omega was just it was insane. It really was insane. They had it just kind of, this arc came up and then just parked itself over Long Island and over New Jersey, central New Jersey. And it was forecast by the NAM and a few of the other models to just kind of sit there for hours on end. And that's what's happening here.
Yeah, everything seems to be lined up with that F-gen, or the atmospheric energy that we call the omega. Very, very telling. And it doesn't look like, Joe, that this area is going to be lifting out of the immediate tri-state area until the end of the day. And already many areas have picked up on the order of 6 to 12 inches of snow. So if you want to double that, we might be looking at 1 to 2 feet in many spots before this is all over, said and done. And actually, it's not even going to be all over, said and done, because while the main push of all of this heavy duty snow or heavy duty precipitation will be lifting away and out of our area by the end of the day or this evening, we're still going to probably have on and off periods of light snow flurries, or maybe sleet, depending upon the temperature in your local area. Overnight tonight and on into tomorrow, we may not be completely and totally done with this until sometime tomorrow night, or maybe first thing on Wednesday morning.
Yeah. Let's cut. I want to cut to the chase here on the radar, because and it's the Weather Service radar. It stinks, but what can I tell you? It's the best. It's the best I can do. But even here, the bands that form. There is one more band here that is moving now over Long Island. There were three of them. The second one, you could see the yellow up along the coast of southern Connecticut, and then back down, Joe, to about White Plains, And then there's a bit of a gap, of course, as the precip lightens up, and now we've got this other band that is right over Long Island now. Some areas are getting more than others. The intensity levels are when you get into that heavy banjo, the snow was coming down at like 2 to 3 inches, rates of 2 to 3 inches an hour. May not have lasted the whole hour, but that's the rate that we saw. So this is all pushing northwestward up into Connecticut. And by the way, I'm looking at the local radars here. So if you're not seeing precipitation down around Harrisburg, Lancaster, Philadelphia, uh, I'm going to switch over now to the Philadelphia radar, and we'll take a look at from their perspective. And the Philadelphia radar, there is in central Jersey, there is this, this killer snow band that's set up south of Route 78 and goes back to Allentown. It's just absolutely clobbering some areas here. Many areas up well over a foot now, and I think I kind of basically figured for Long Island, most places are could probably finish somewhere between 12 and 18 the way it's going, and there's not going to be a changeover. Even if there is, it doesn't matter because the last band is about to come through, and after that, well, we'll just piddle around for a while. So this system really uh, was a problem forecasting, and it still is, and it remains so.
Yeah, I put out I don't call it a statement or calling a comment on my Facebook page last night, and I quoted one of my synoptic meteorology professors when I was going to City College back in the mid and early 70s. I'm not sure if you had him, Joe. I think he was on the, I think he retired around 75 or
I did
76.
not have Professor Romer.
Professor Richard Romer, and actually
Nice man.
he had a long career. I mean, he was back at NYU and whatever. But anyway, in one of his classes, we were talking about just what we're looking at right now, a northeast snowstorm, and he made the comment. He said, sometimes trying to forecast a snowstorm in the northeast is like playing billiards or pool with egg-shaped balls.
Yeah,
and
it's
and that is
true.
exactly, you think that it's going into the side pocket, and all of a sudden it makes a left turn or right turn or whatever. It's still not over, and there still may be a few surprises between now and the end of the day today. I tell you, the HRRR, I've been scratching my head. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, Joe. It
Hmm.
is forecasting sleet all the way up to where I am later this afternoon. I think
Yeah,
that's going to.
I want to tell. I have. I went through this earlier today because I was with the NAM, which I think, by the way, has did a spectacular job with this.
Which
Okay,
one? Do you think the
the
12
NAM,
kilometer?
the 12 and the 3.
Yeah.
I've been focusing more on the 12 because of the precip amounts that I could see on the FOOS of the numerical, the guidance of the NAM. It matched up almost perfectly with everything that's going on. I want to come back to that HRRR. Just give me 1 second here. I just brought the radar up because the snow is actually backing southward into southern Pennsylvania. You can see there's echoes now back north of Philadelphia over to Trenton, and also down to Wilmington in Delaware, back to Lancaster, and you notice that the echoes are pivoting south or even south southwest. There are a few light bands down near Baltimore and Washington again. And now, for those areas in south central, southeastern PA, and southern New Jersey, it's going to be a matter of watching this pivot as you deal with the backside of precip, which may continue right into tomorrow. Now, much of what's here is a lot lighter than what was experienced earlier, but there could be some steady snow and some accumulating snow coming up for later tonight and tomorrow. And you can see, by the way, on the top of the arc here, the western edge of the big snow band that's moving in from New York City, and I'll pull up the NYC radar again, and you can see that band extends on out to the east. Big snows now moving through New York City itself. So let's talk about the HRRR because I was struggling with the fact that the HRRR, and I couldn't figure, it's like I could not figure out why is it doing this. It was changing everything over to sleet a good 6 hours ahead of the NAM, and the NAM has heavy snow bands here till about 5 or 6 o'clock. Now,
Right.
um, I think we're at the point that even if you do wind up with a changeover to sleet, does it really matter? I mean, we've already,
Well, the damage has pretty much been done
yeah,
for
exactly.
many places.
So
So,
especially if this winds up being the last band that's going through. But what I did was earlier this morning, I pulled up some soundings over the area where it's showing some sleet, and one of the things I noticed on the soundings was that there was no warm nose. So the temperatures were all below freezing. I couldn't see on the sounding whether there was any kind of a warm layer. And if you look, Joe, I just pulled up this sounding here, right over what's the quote unquote sleet layer. Uh, there's the warm nose is below 32, so I mean there's no intrusion of warmer air here to cause sleet on the sounding. So I started to wonder if, because if you look at the colors on the scale, for sleet and then for those really heavy snow rates, it's sort of hard to tell the difference. So I'm wondering whether that's just really a last, big band of heavy snow that's being indicated and not sleet. At least,
well,
I mean,
it's kind of like what we were talking about yesterday when I saw that little blotch on, I think the NAM over my house, and
right.
we got it to chuck about 14 inches per hour or whatever. So you may be right. That might actually be the HRR's impression or interpretation of that band of very, very heavy precip.
Yeah, because if you look at the colors on the side, uh, the top colors for snow rates are purple, and then just about every color scheme of purple that's on is on the sleep bar. So you can't. I pull up the sounding, if it's sleet, where's the warm intrusion? And I'm just not seeing it. So this is actually for 2 o'clock this afternoon, and here we are at 12:40. That purple area does expand now, and the other thing is too. It actually, some of the blue snow comes back around 23Z, so around 5 or 6 o'clock. So again, that kind of made me suspicious that perhaps that was some sort of convective stuff, and that maybe it's just heavy snow more than anything else. And you can see it, by the way, and the NAM does this too. That snow just kind of arcing back westward in South Jersey, down into southern Pennsylvania, northern Maryland, getting in there. It's mostly on the light side, and of course, on the other side of this, you're seeing the heavy snow bands moving up through Connecticut, northern Rhode Island, Massachusetts, on up into, and then points northward up into Vermont, New Hampshire, and all the way up into Maine. Uh, Joe, we don't see storms do this very often, where they stall, they sit out there and stall out, and it's gonna be interesting to see what we pick up in the next 36 hours on the backside.
Yeah, well, the general thought is that the real accumulating snow is going to be from now until, let's say, the end of the day or early this evening, and then whatever we get afterwards, we will get additional accumulations, albeit light. And I'm thinking probably, but let's say that a specific spot between now and 7 o'clock this evening picks up another 8 or 9 inches. After that, the amount of additional accumulation might only be on the order of about an inch or two, but that would be spread out from overnight tonight and on into tomorrow as well.
Right.
Certainly, it's kind of amazing, isn't it? How during that long stretch where we had hardly anything, and we went through January indeed with hardly anything in terms of snowfall, an inch or two would have made it a monstrous, like, oh my God, isn't it? We've got to get out there and get rid of it. And now, after this, an inch or two is like, yeah,
Well,
we
I
get
know,
it gets there very quickly.
and by the way, many areas, there are a lot of areas that between the December system and this one are going to be above normals for snowfall for the season, and the
Right.
ones that aren't are going to be, you know, just below their seasonal norms. And we still have at least a good 6 to 7 weeks to go, and maybe
Oh, no
even,
question.
yeah, I mean, even to the end of March
No
or
question.
beginning of April.
I'm just amazed. I'm just amazed at the way statistically, when you look at the numbers, as I've been saying over and over again, Central Park more than 7.5 inches in December. They've always 9 out of 9 times they've always come right back with over 40 inches, and in some cases, some of the highest snow totals for a winter season, and also indications that among all of that would be, a big whopper of a storm. Well, this isn't a big whopper. I don't know what is, but it looks like it's going to be, if it keeps up like this, as you just pointed out, another 6, 7 weeks, it looks like Central Park could at least now have a fighting chance of going above 40 inches. And
Oh
that's
yeah,
crazy.
I would bet on that.
Yeah.
I would certainly bet on that. By
And
the
that,
way,
by the way, and that, by
uh,
the way, is based upon, it's not based upon looking at before the season begins, El Nino or La Nina or any of the atmospheric conditions, the polar vortex, the Arctic oscillation. It has nothing to do with any of that. It is simply, sheerly statistical data based upon 150 years of information that's been collected at Central Park. You looked at the numbers, 9 times out of 9 it's happened. It looks like this is going to be 10 out of 10. It's just, and I'm just shaking my head. I said, I'm amazed how this has all worked out. When we weren't getting anything in January, and so many people on the chat board, and you know who you are, already throwing in the towel and giving up, I said, well, if it doesn't happen in January, it has to happen in February or March, a backloaded type of winter. And here we are. February is
February 1st.
one day old. Boom, here we are. And Joe, I'm sure you've looked at the long range. We've got maybe a showery, wet pattern for the end of the week, but then we've got another possible winter storm
Well,
later on next weekend, and then we got another one after that.
Well, we have chances, no question. There are going to be chances along the way. The upper air pattern is a lot more favorable now on the Pacific. We've been waiting for that East Pacific oscillation to kick in and go negative, and it's pretty much done so, and will be much more cooperative. And you can see, by the way, the outcome of what happens when you have the negative EPO, because we have all this cold air. I mean, the bottom line is we have all this cold air. Here's the NAM for this afternoon and into this evening. So if the NAM is correct, there's still more snow to go through. The radar kind of looks like that band that's over me now, Joe. It might be the last one. I don't know. We'll see. The other thing I want to point out, and I'm going to bring up the upper air. Well, first of all, before we even do that, this we're actually being one of the unusual things about this is when watching the radar from yesterday and overnight, and it was so blotchy, and there was all these holes in it, and it's like, okay, it's going to fill in, and the snow starts advancing northward into the dry air last night. And I was, actually started here a little sooner than earlier forecast. It came in around 10:30 or 11 o'clock over central Long Island. But the upper low, Joe, is really, I think, drove the development of this sort of all this convective stuff. A lot of what was offshore this morning and moving northwestward, and that doesn't happen too often either. The stuff would look very convective, and it just wave after wave and banding. You got the banding, and that's the upper low in play. The surface low moisture, if you look on the satellite, the surface low moisture is actually going out well to our east. But you've got this upper low with this jet that goes all the way down into the Gulf of Mexico, comes all the way up the East Coast. The cold low moving toward the coastline, very unstable. You had vertical motions that were completely off the wall, and you sort of had all this convective look of echoes that just swept back in northwestward, and that was that put the snow down in a big. It certainly put the snow down in a big way.
I'm looking at lightningmaps.org and was thinking, with
All right,
all
let me bring it up. Go ahead.
Well, it's a disappointment because there's nothing, at least on lightningmaps.org, of any kind of convection, which surprises me. That's stunning. I would have thought at least some low top convection developing out of these bands, but apparently not. The only convection is out over the Atlantic Ocean, about 200 300 miles east of Hatteras. There's a, I guess you could call that the front that is associated with the developing storm. But that's where all of the lightning is showing up. But there's nothing in the immediate vicinity here. So it looks like if we're not getting anything now, I don't think we're going to be seeing anything for the remainder of the afternoon. So I guess we're going to escape the possibility of getting.
Yeah, I would have thought. Yeah, I did notice some rather hefty looking cells when these bands were setting up, and they, when they got close to land, and I guess maybe when they got into the colder air that was locked in, just from just offshore and inland, that those cells might have weakened somewhat. But yeah, I would have thought too we could have seen at least some low top stuff, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, the snow came. The dam, by the way, too. When a model works, this one worked this time around. It predicted, Joe, about an inch and a half of liquid for early this morning, and then during the daytime today. I mean, certainly that verified. And just bringing up the snowfall totals here for the Weather Service snowfall forecast map. As soon as it finishes loading, you know what? I'll let it load. Let me just come back to you for a moment, because I want to just give folks a bit of advice. So, unfortunately, someone on Facebook got the brunt of my advice today. Although I didn't do it in a nest. I did it in a nice way. So, um, if you're going to criticize a forecast, and it wasn't actually mine or yours, Joe, but it was the Weather Service. If you're going to criticize a forecast, it might be a good idea to wait until after the storm is over.
Yes.
Okay, so the Weather Service puts up, they did their forecast yesterday, which was for 18 to 24. And this morning, they kind of knocked a few inches off the top number to like 18 to 21 or something like that. And somebody posted on my page saying, "Oh, the Weather Service just knocked their numbers down. The storm is a bust." So I pointed out, I said, "Well, you know what? Knocking down from what they had yesterday to 18 to 20, I don't know that I would necessarily call it a bust." Uh, so this was right before all these snow bands came in, and of course there was already areas this morning before 7 o'clock that had 6, 7, 8 inches of snow on the ground from the stuff from overnight.
Right.
So yeah, so the bottom line is, yeah, you might want to just kind of wait to before you're going to criticize a forecast or a forecaster. Give them the courtesy of having the event play through, and then you can do it. You'd save yourself a lot of embarrassment because, well, the criticism was basically was not warranted.
Donna on the chat board, Donna Levasseur, is that how we pronounce it?
Levasseur.
Levasseur?
Mm-hmm.
She says, my silly neighbor was using his snowblower this morning. It's going to get snowed over anyway. Well, Donna, guess what? When I'm finished here, I'm going to shovel off my deck again, and then probably going to start my snowblower. And you say to yourself, well, why do that? Well, here's the thing. Do you want to have your snowblower try to get rid of 15 or 20 inches of snow, or maybe you might want to help your snowblower out by getting rid of the first 5 or 6 inches, and lower the snow accumulation amount that the snowblower would have to work on during your second go around. I'll tell you what, it's no fun. I'm sure Joe knows too. It's no fun if you try to go out there and get rid of like 12 or 15 or 16 inches. It's a heck of a lot easier to get rid of 5 or 6 or 7 and then go back out later on. And then when another 5 or 8 inches fall, you get rid of that instead of trying to get rid of the whole blob in one sitting. So your neighbor's not so silly. And I think actually it helps the machine work a little bit less or not as hard when you're trying to get rid of all of that snow as opposed to trying to get rid of
I always did it. I always did it in steps. I always did it. I would go out early, do some, and then come back and do some more. And yeah, that's wise. You don't want to stress your machine.
Right.
The less you stress it, the longer it will last for you. And mine lasted like 18 years, and it still looked like it was brand new. I wound up selling it to somebody else.
If you wanted my wife to come over and give it a tune-up for you.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So I'm also finding, by the way, and I don't know whether it's because everybody's trying to get on at the same time, that some of the Weather Service sites are very, very slow to load. I wanted to see if they updated their snow forecast, which doesn't seem like they have. But look, it's basically 1 to a foot and a half for just about everybody. Somebody is gonna get higher amounts. Someone is gonna get lower amounts, and that's just it. So let's just really quick. I'm gonna run through the models with the upper air here. Of course, our system finally pulls away to the northeast. We've got another short wave with a cold front that'll come through on Friday. We do have building pressures again up in the Davis Strait, and that's going to set up a bit of a block. And now we're going to have energy that's coming down from Canada with an upper low. There might be a wave that develops here on that Friday cold front after it stalls. The European actually made a big storm yesterday for Sunday and Monday. Had a very intense low southeast of Atlantic City, and basically gave this area the same snow amounts that we just had. Just gave them again. Kind of backed away from the last on the last run. But I don't know we don't have the new run yet. But the bottom line is we've got a cold looking pattern overall with some minor interruptions, and there's enough energy going on and enough shortwave action that we're probably going to have some opportunities from time to time going forward. I don't think that there's much to argue about that.
No, don't forget, of course, Sunday is Super Bowl Sunday, and I don't know how many people had planned intimate get-togethers, unlike the big Super Bowl parties that go on in a non-COVID year. But if we do get the storm on Sunday, it may actually cause everybody to just stay at home, which seems to be the earmark of a lot of get-togethers of late. So we'll see what happens. I'm looking at the GFS 18Z Sunday, Joe. They've got a storm over central Connecticut and a broad area of snow covering much of eastern New York and New England. So who knows? We may, as they say, to be continued as life itself.
Yes,
Of the week.
exactly. To be continued. I'm pulling up the Canadian just to see if there's any surprises on here. Oh yeah. Oh, we have to show this. Okay. Uh, sorry. Oh, there's another one. Oh, look at that. And I'm running it backwards. All right. So let me we'll bring up the Canadian model. And by the way, even though I often criticize the Canadian model, and I get letters from folks saying, the Canadian model is a grand old model, and you shouldn't disparage it. Well, um, you know, I've had a number of people in the weather community describe the Canadian model in terms of a blind squirrel getting a nut every once in a while. But along those lines, however, the Canadian model actually telegraphed that December storm ahead of the other models, and I believe it may have even actually telegraphed this one. So want to give it a little bit of respect at the moment. And of course, it pulls this one out. We dry out finally for midweek. Here comes the cold front for Thursday, Friday. Front stalls in the southeast. Looks like that wave goes out underneath us, but then we got this other low and cold front dropping in to the northeast on Sunday. Makes a little low out of that at the in southeastern New England, which wouldn't be of too much consequence for the coast, but it might bring some snow inland, literally. And then it's got some kind of wave coming out of the Gulf states, Joe, and it brings it to Virginia come days 8 and 9 with some snow there. Now, look, this is all going to change. And again, the models were showing something for this weekend. The European was very bullish yesterday, not so much last night. It might go back to being bullish today. I honestly, and Joe, I'm sure you're like this too. Whenever there's a big storm going on like this, we really don't look at the long range very much. Looking at the long range requires time, and if you're in a snowstorm, you really don't have time to get into it. So all you can do is just give it a cursory view.
Well, if you're working at a television station, the executive producer or the assistant news director will come in and say, "I heard there's another one coming on Sunday, so why don't you just talk a little bit about what's going on now, and then let's start playing the Sunday storm up." I mean, literally, folks, that's how it works at not a few television and even radio outlets. They don't know when is enough. and they love to scare you too,
Yeah.
because if they scare you, you get higher ratings. So that's the way it goes. But yeah,
Oh,
a lot of times
by the
some
way,
folks just don't have a chance to
by
look.
by the way, any sign of smata mott?
Haven't seen Samara.
I'm just because we need to know if this was a fluke storm, just like the December storm was a fluke storm. I just want to make that clear. I'm not letting this go.
Yeah.
I am not letting this go. Just as much as um, Smatamat would not is not won't let the fluke angle go after I implored, please, it's enough. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm not going to let this go. So I don't know if Smata is in hiding or just hasn't had a chance to watch the show, but I'm doing this in jest. Okay, I just want you to know I'm just having a little bit of fun. So I don't want anybody's feelings to get hurt or to take it seriously. By the way, Izzy D, Whatever Works, and David Fuller, all super chat hits this afternoon. Thank you very much. We got close to 400 people on, so
Wow.
they must be all sitting at home uh, and not having gone to work today. By the way, I have some comfort food on the stove. I'm making chicken soup, and I'm going to make some pastina, and I'm going to
Oh,
have myself a nice hot bowl of chicken soup for lunch.
well, I'll tell you what. I'm probably going to have a bite. Go out, shovel off the back deck, then start up the snowblower, get rid of whatever is out there. As of 10:45 this morning, here at Putnam Valley, we only had just a shade under 4 inches. I'm sure we have a lot more than that now. So
Yeah, I have about 9 here in Sound Beach.
yes, yes, we have yet to get into the really hefty stuff that you folks down on the island of Long have, but I'm sure that you'll be sending it our way shortly.
And by the way, also on the NAM was correct. Kept those critical boundary layer temperatures below freezing or barely to the freezing mark, and I haven't seen an ice pellet yet. So far, like as I said, I'm lauding the NAM. I'm the champion of the NAM model. I'm just happy that it did a good job.
And my brother-in-law, my younger brother-in-law, Richard, is on the chat board. He's in Broadheadsville, Pennsylvania, more in I forgot what county, Monroe County in Northeast Pennsylvania, Pocono Country. Hello, everyone. I was talking about, using your snowblower. That's what I did last night. Today, I snowblowed. Like, is that snow blowed or snow blew? Well, whatever. He blew his he blew his driveway already, and we'll probably have to do it at least one more time. I think you might have to do it more than at least one more time, Richard. You may have to do it a couple of more times. So, anyway,
Yep.
so
So from eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England, 1 to 2 feet in most places. And it's gonna. There's variability, by the way, because of the convective nature of what fell. You might have double what your friend a couple of miles away has. So don't be too shocked that you could see this because of the convective nature, because of the banding that occurred. That's just kind of how it works. You have to be lucky enough to be in the area where the bands are to get completely hammered, and if you fell in between, you got half of what your buddy did. So, what are we doing tonight? Are we coming back at 7 o'clock? 7:30? I'm sorry. Are we coming back at 7:30?
if I still have power and if I'm not outside blowing, yeah, 7:30 will be fine.
Okay, so let's make it tentative right now that we'll come back at 7:30, but no guarantees. Same here too. If I lose power, I'm having internet signal problems right now. I'm watching my thing flashing yellow and red. It's just back to green now, which is good, but there are some signal hits going on, and the cable service out here, whenever there's a storm, it always seems to be a bit problematic. So everybody have a safe afternoon. Be very careful out there. If you don't have to travel, really, just stay home. You could do it tomorrow or the next day, hopefully. And our weather, by the way, again, I just want to remind everybody that as far as uh, anything you need for winter storm cleanups, Omni True Value Hardware, our sponsor at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, is open today. They are open until 7 o'clock. I'm sorry, they are open till 10 o'clock tonight. And then they will close and reopen at 3 a.m. Tuesday morning. So if you've got cleanups to do, you've got crews, or if it's just you for your home, Omni's the place to go. 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, just north of the Southern State Parkway. 631-756-1125. OmniTrueValue.com, and they have the best prices in town when it comes to rock salt and Petalo and all the snow melt products. So just wanted to let everybody know that Omni is open for business, Joe. So let me just bring us back full screen really quick. Hang on, I'm slow on the uptake today. I didn't tell you what happened. So I was very tired last night. So I said, you know what? Let me go to bed early, which was about 8:30, 9 o'clock. I'll go to bed early. I'm going to get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock, because I have guys that I do weather for, snow removal guys, and I take care of them during snowstorms. So anyhow, I'm lying in bed, and I'm one of these people that when the heat comes, yeah, no, I didn't quite like that. I'm one of these people that when the heat comes on, I wake right up. I'm very sensitive to it. I like to sleep in a cold room, my thermostat at 60, under 3 blankets, and that the heat doesn't need to come on. Well, it came on, so I was awake, and my room was like a sauna. So I had to open the window, and I noticed that it snowed outside. So it's like, oh, this is pretty. So I had the window open, room cooled off. I fell asleep. 2 o'clock in the morning. 2 o'clock in the morning, the snow plow guy comes up on the street. Now, we might have had maybe about a couple of inches of snow by then, maybe an inch and a half, 2 inches. A half an hour, Joe, going up and down, scraping. I mean, he must have pulled the pavement, the blacktop off the pavement. It's like, can you stop this? And at that point, I just couldn't go back. I couldn't fall back to sleep. So I basically got 3 hours sleep, and I'm completely exhausted. So hold on just a second, Alan. Hang on one second. I'm wrapping up with Joe Rayo right now. Okay. So hang on.
The great Alan Casper is on.
Yeah, Alan is on. I don't know if he can hear you. He can't hear you because I got my headsets on, so he can't hear you. So Joe Rayo says hi, Alan.
Hello.
He says hi back.
Okay.
So anyway, so we'll see about 7. Just watch for a notification, folks, if we come back on for 7:30. Okay. If I'm too tired, then we'll do this tomorrow. Okay. We'll see you later.
Have a good one.